So we're going to see our first really strong connection between the zeros of a function and the factors. And as we saw in these previous examples, if I have a function in factored form, I can use those factors to find out the values of x to make it 0. I can use I can use that idea backwards to use specific zeros to write a function. So here we want a polynomial, degree 3, with these zeros. Here's the deal. If that's a 0, I need a factor that has this as a 0. So the simplest thing I can do, x plus 1. Note that if I take -1 and plug it into here, the answer is going to be 0. So this could be a factor. -1 is a 0 of the factor, so -1 will be a 0 of my polynomial. And I'm going to do that for each 0 they asked me about. This guy would correspond to a factor of x minus 4. And then this last guy would correspond to x minus 0, I guess? But who writes x minus 0? No one writes minus 0. Jerks do that. You're not a jerk. So if you did that, by the way, you really aren't a jerk. It's good to stay cautious the first time you see it. But the best answer at the end of the day would be, people tend to put these sort of factors first, and they don't put the minus 0. So it would be f of x is my polynomial, and it equals x times x plus 1 times x minus 4. This is a polynomial that's in factored form. It will have these as zeros, and it will be of degree 3 because, I know this because if I were to because there's 3 x's in it basically. Like if you were to multiply these two things together, you get some kind of quadratic. In fact, the quadratic, I'll just say, you don't need to do this, but the quadratic you get would look like this. And I just want to point out that hey, there was 2 x's, and you get x squared as your highest powered x. And then this x over here would be chilling out, and you would take that x times each of this x times each of these, so you'd end up with an x cubed. So if there's 3 linear factors and they each have an x in them, the degree is going to be 3. So, but that's not even the point of this lesson. The point of this lesson is if this is a 0, that's a factor. If this is a 0, that's a factor. If that's a 0, that's a factor. And we'll write it out like that. Hope that makes sense.